What's going on, everybody? Spaceballs here. Welcome back to another Skylanders video. Alright, everyone. Today I'm super excited because I get to cover Nightfall. We are going to be doing a build guide on her. Now, I know a lot of you guys might not have her, so it's going to be like 50-50. But a lot of people did ask for Nightfall to be covered in this build guide series. And I was super lucky enough to be able to pull Nightfall on the new LD banner. Well, I already had two, but the LD banner solidified me being able to build her. So I figured today would be a good day for me to actually get into this guide on Nightfall because I am like halfway through building her. And I feel like this will really show you guys, the way I actually build my Skylanders. But don't worry, guys. I promise you, I'm going to cover every single Skylander in the game eventually. It is going to take some time, but I promise you, when this series is all said and done, every single Skylander will be covered. Whether it's, premium, rare, legendary, I will cover them all in hopes that it'll help new players and older players decide on how they want to actually build their current Skylanders. So with no further ado, let's get into this one here. And let's pull up my girl Nightfall. Now, I'm yet to actually use her in anything except for adventures, as in farming her up. Other than that, I haven't really done much testing on her. Now, I basically have her halfway done here. And I've had Nightfall since the beginning because I was able to pull her early on, but I only had one copy. And only having one copy, I would never consider actually building the Skylander. For me, I need at least 4 super boosts, and I need to be able to at least max skill her. If I can't do those things, then I won't even consider building that Skylander. That is something to keep in mind for you guys when you want to actually build up, a legendary Skylander or a heroic one. Make sure you have the skill ups and super boosts to be able to actually make that Skylander work at its best. Otherwise, you're going to really be missing out on, a lot of stats and damage and all of that good stuff. So for me, it's really important to have the max super boost and have the max skills. And then once I achieve that, then I'll start ruining it up and getting it into battle. Now, I know I'm missing 1 super boost, but the thing is, I have the 10 purple keys from the last event. But I'm hoping in the future I could just pull 1 more Nightfall. And then in the future, I could use these keys on like Spotlight or Light Flash Wing, something like that. Because being this close, I feel like I can get 1 more if RNG is good to me. So we'll have to see what happens in the future. But now getting into Nightfall here, let's pull up her kit first like we always do. I always like to go over the kit first here, just to give you guys an idea on how I go about building the actual Skylander. So first up here, we have the passive. Now on the top slot, which is always going to be on Nightfall, whether she's in the leader slot or not, she's going to have increased critical damage by 40% and critical rate by 10%. That is a wonderful, beautiful passive, and I think that's what actually makes Nightfall so OP as an attacker. And then on the actual leader slot, when she's leader on the team, she will have increases the critical damage of the team members by 20%. Now for me, I plan on using Nightfall as my single damage dealer on defense. I'm probably going to use her in, PvE content. But my main reason for wanting to use her is in PvP defense. And I plan on making her my solo damage dealer until I get Astral Blast built up. And that's going to take a long time. So I'm not really worried too much about having her in the leader slot. I'm more concerned about her top one. So I will be maxing this passive out just to get that critical damage 40% and that crit rate 10%. Because a lot of people don't max out the passives, but they don't realize that the top part actually goes towards the Skylander itself, and the bottom part goes towards the whole team if it's in the leader slot. So you definitely want to remember that, guys. I understand some leader passives aren't that important, but most of them you want to level up as well, because it actually benefits that Pacific Skylander in a heavy way. So we have our passive here, and this is if the enemy's HP is below 40% after inflicting damage on the enemy. Inflict 64% of attack as damage to 1 random enemy. Additionally, grants defense penetration rate up by 10% on yourself for 3 turns. That is huge. Defense penetration on top of the critical damage, on top of the crit rate. Her kit just synergizes perfectly for a damage dealer. I'm just picturing the amount of damage she is going to dish out. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to finish her off here. These passives together are just so perfect, and I think that's what makes Nightfall stick out so much here. So with these 2 passives being together, she is just triple S tier already. So now let's see what the other 2 skills have to offer here. So now we have the A2, inflicts 56% of attack and damage to 1 enemy 3 times, and increases the damage by 10% if the target possesses the diminish effect. Additionally, grants over diminish effect on the target. And what the over diminish does is it basically blows up all diminishes, just like a poison pop. So it basically does the same thing. So if you have a 3 stack of diminishes, it's going to blow those up and do the damage that it would have done over 3 turns in that 1 turn. So you can just imagine how much damage this skill is actually going to do. And if it couldn't get any better, guys, we have the A1, which puts up a diminish and a knockdown. So again, just a perfectly synergizing kit here. Everything on her kit just synergizes perfect. It's geared towards diminish, geared towards damage, critical damage, crit rate, blowing up to diminishes. Absolutely perfect kit. I love it. So now let's get into the build here and what I decided to go with. Now, I wish she had a ring. She doesn't. We know a lot of Skylanders in this game don't have rings, so that stops us from doing the critical damage. But she does have the passive, which gives her 40%. So with that being said, it's like having a 4 or 5-star ring anyways. Yes, it would be nice if you can have the ring too, but I guess we can't have our cake and eat it too here. But she does have 2 gloves, which is really good. And the reason that's really good is because we're able to put 2 attack gloves on her. So it makes it much easier for us to stack attack on Nightfall. So not having the ring hurts, but having the 2 gloves really is a beneficial thing, because we should be able to get her around 4,000, 4,500 attack when it's all said and done. So let me show you her overall stats so far. And what we're going for here basically is HP, our normal defense threshold, which is 1,500, our normal HP, which is 15,000 to 20,000. Our attack, we want about 4,000. Crit rate, we want about 70% because of the passive. Maybe 75, 80% just so she's up in that 90 area. We want to get as much critical damage as possible. And we do want some effect accuracy for the diminish. And then, of course, if we get defense penetration, that would be great, but it's really hard to do. So now let's go over the runes here. And basically all the substats you're going to see here, it's going to be crit rate, accuracy, crit damage, HP, and defense. If you see resistance, it's just because it's so hard to get a 4-star legendary rune that doesn't have a resistance stat on it. So the first one here, we have crit rate, accuracy, crit damage. I was hoping this would roll all crit rate and crit damage. We did get accuracy. It's not a terrible thing because, again, Nightfall does have diminishes on her. So we don't mind having some accuracy. Now, we don't want too much accuracy. Like, if this rolls accuracy again, I'll probably drop it for something else. But I don't mind having a little bit. I just don't want, like, overkill amounts of accuracy, because we really do need that crit damage and crit rate. That is really what we're looking for on Nightfall, and some HP, because we do want her on defense, so we do want her to be a little tanky. That is important. And like I always tell you guys, to go for those thresholds of, you know, defense of 15 and HP of 15,000 to 20,000. Same thing with defense from 1,500 to 2,000. I believe that is really good ratio to start with when building your Skylanders for defense. I mean, even in general, it's a good ratio to go for, because I feel like it really does help in not getting your glass cannons one shot, because then they won't be glass cannons. Okay, so now we have the gloves here. We have crit rate. Now, this gets me with 6-star gear so much, guys. 6-star gear tends to always roll minimum rolls. I have purple gear. Well, I have purple 5-star gear that blows some of my 6-star legendary gear out of the water. And that's just due to the fact that I'll have maximum rolls on my 5-star gear, but minimum rolls on my 6-star gear. Now, I only rolled this up to 6. For now, I'm going to keep it. I really don't have a lot of attack gloves, so I really don't have much of a choice here. Now, in the future, if I get better gloves, these are going to come right off her. And I'll use these as like farming gloves or something like that in the future. Because once you level up a 6-star piece of gear, you really don't want to like recycle it, just due to the fact that it costs you so much gold to get it to level 6, level 9. So even if you use it as farming gear, it's better than just recycling it and getting ether back, because at the end of the day, you're missing out on all of that gold. And gold is the biggest issue for me. I have a ton of ether. It's always gold that I run out of. So I will continue rolling these gloves up, and we'll see where it goes. If we can get 2 maximum rolls into like HP or crit rate, maybe I'll keep them. We'll have to see. Then we have the boots here. And again, we want HP. Now, you could go defense if you have a lot of HP substats, but again, you want to be going for crit rate and crit damage substats mostly. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to go with HP boots on your Nightfall, as opposed to defense boots. So again, we have accuracy, resistance, crit damage, evasion. Now, these don't have crit rate, so again, I might change these in the future depending on how much crit rate we get on Nightfall. But overall, they're good boots. We just don't want this resistance. Now, being that I'm using her on defense, resistance isn't like totally terrible. But in my eyes, it's kind of a wasted stat, because I'm really not worried about resistance. I'm worried about her tankiness and her damage output. So for me, if I get better HP boots in the future, I will be replacing these out. That is just the way I look at it. But when you first start building a Skylander, the best thing I can say to do is to like just get it up and going, and then see what stats you're missing out on. And then when you start rolling other runes, if those runes meet the stats you're looking for, then you could just make easy swaps. But it allows you to use that Skylander until you find the like perfect exact runes that you're looking for. Next up here, we have another glove. And again, HP, accuracy, crit damage, crit rate. These gloves are absolutely perfect. I'm just praying that it stops rolling accuracy and it stops rolling minimum rolls here. That's the worst case scenario with these gloves. And I'm sure you guys are seeing already that most of my purple 6-star legendary gear is better than most of my 6-star legendary gear. And a lot of people always ask me, should I use 6-star purple legendary gear? And the answer is yes, because most of the time, with minimum rolls being in the game, you can get a purple piece of gear to be better than your 6-star gear. Trust me on that. You can see it here yourselves. It just depends on rolls, minimum rolls, and RNG in general. But 9 times out of 10, you could probably get a purple piece of gear to look better than your legendary gear. Trust me on that. So these gloves are perfect. Unless they just keep rolling minimum rolls into accuracy, I'll probably never change them. I'm hoping to get some crit rate and crit damage on the next 2 rolls, and then I'll be totally happy with these gloves. Next up, we have the body. Now, this rolled resistance. Everything else on them is perfect. And as you guys are seeing on all of this legendary gear, it's perfect stats, and then we have resistance. And it tends to always roll the resistance every single time. Now, this body here is what I had on her originally, but then it rolled minimum roll to crit rate, and I'm just like, eh. So I might go back and roll these, and I'll roll this. The problem is gold. I don't have enough gold to sit here and roll up all of this gear, like test rolling it. So that becomes a huge issue. I'm going to roll these up one more time. If it rolls resistance, I will take them off. If it rolls crit rate or crit damage or accuracy, I'll roll it again, and I'll see where it goes from there. That is the biggest issue in this game, is that you can't pre-roll your runes. Like, once you roll it, you're kind of stuck with it to an extent, because it like costs you so much gold, it like kills you to like have to sell it or not use it, because it's like, well, I just spent like 2-3 million gold doing that, so I really don't want to sell it. So now we have the weapon here, and again we have HP, defense, crit rate, crit damage. As far as the weapon goes, in my eyes, this is perfect, because we're getting tankiness, we're getting some HP, we're getting defense, we're getting crit rate, we're getting crit damage. So hopefully it keeps rolling high rolls. I believe 500 HP is a really high roll, so hopefully crit rate and crit damage will roll like 6s or 7s, and then this weapon will be perfect, and I'll probably never change it. So that is our Nightfall so far, and I believe most of these runes I have on her I won't have to change. I think the body's the only one I'm really concerned about. So depending on how this rolls will be depending on if I keep it or not. If it does roll resistance again, I will definitely be changing this out. But other than that, I believe the runes on her are basically perfect. Maybe the boots can have some crit rate, but other than that, I'm very happy with where my Nightfall is going. Because if we look at the overall stats here, we're in a very good direction, considering that none of our gear is really over level 6. 4 pieces are 3, 2 pieces are 6. So we're in a really good direction here on getting the substats that we're looking for and having a perfect Nightfall. So I'm very happy with where she's going right now. Once I max these runes out to 12, I will decide if I'm going to use keys to super boost her or do more summons. I do have the skill ups. I've been sitting on them, so I will skill her up when I'm ready to use her. And I do believe on Nightfall, you want to absolutely skill out every single one of these, because if you look at like the A1 here, the last level is cooldown. We definitely want that. That's very important. If you look at the A2, we got mana consumption again, very important. And then the passives, we have duration 1 turn, we definitely want that. And then we have critical damage 5%, and we definitely want that. So I will definitely be max super boosting her and max skilling her before I actually put her into my defense. So that is going to wrap it up for my girl Nightfall. Let me know down below, guys, what you think. And also let me know who you want to see next. I always read your comments. And I really do want to base this series off of what you guys want to see. We just put up the sub celebration giveaway video, so that is going to be linked down below. Also, if you guys want to be a part of the awesome, amazing Discord and Twitch communities, those are also linked down below. We do monthly giveaways on Discord, random giveaways on Twitch. I truly do love each and every single one of you. I will see you in the next one. Spaceballs out. Peace.